It do, baby. It is September 6th, 2022, and I am officially 1 year sober from alcohol. So much of my self-worth came from feeling numb with alcohol. Alcohol addiction is scary, and it happens fast, but there is recovery, and there is hope. Hey guys, what's up? It's Robin, and today we are going to be talking about some very hard-hitting stuff. If you are triggered by any of the following, please click off of this video, take care of yourself, and come back when the time is right for you. We're going to be talking about abuse of alcohol, drugs, mental health, and depression throughout this entire video. Like I said, if you are still healing or get easily triggered by any of these things, please click off this video, check out one of my others, come back another time when you are healed. This video is going to be very informative, but it's going to also be very personal. I'm basically going to walk you guys through my journey beforehand, my coming to terms with needing to recover and not drink, and then actually stopping drinking for a year and how that's impacted my life and everything that I've been doing this past year. And I can't wait to share all of those wonderful things with you. So, like I said, this may get a little dark, may get a little deep. This is my story. This is my personal story, everything that I've faced. I don't need negative feedback in the comments, so if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. We're all about positivity and recovery over here, and so if you're not here to uplift and support others, we don't want you on this channel. And so I just wanted to give a huge shout out to everybody before I start who has supported me through this journey. There have been quite a few people who have been key components of this journey, especially my roommates who make sure that I'm okay on a daily basis, friends and family who check in to make sure that I'm doing okay and things like that. And so I just wanted to share my experience and story with you guys. Not many people who are 22, 23 are speaking out about being recovering alcoholics. And so I just wanted to be the voice that, you know, needs to be out there and we need to be talking about this. And so if I can be that voice, I am going to be. So without further ado, let's just jump on in, shall we? Let's take it back a couple years to when I first started drinking. I couldn't tell you what age I had my first drink, but I know that I started officially drinking liquor when I was only 14 years old, which is really, really young. I know a lot of people who would like steal from their parents' liquor cabinets and they would pour some liquor into a water bottle, pour some water back into the liquor. I never did that. I would just dump the whole bottle of liquor into a water bottle, fill up the liquor, obviously as long as it's clear, with water, and stick it back in the cabinet. And my parents never really had liquor. They never really had mixed drinks. They never really took shots at things, so I knew they weren't using them. I started making friends with people who were older than me at a very young age for a multitude of reasons. I think I've always connected with people who are older than me, but I also have an older brother who I really looked up to. And so I would try to hang out with him as much as I could. And so I think in return of doing that, I ended up just connecting better with people who were older than me. And so I was always hanging out and being around people who were partying and were just in a different phase of life than me, but I just always connected with them better than my peers. So I started really heavily binge drinking at 16 when I got my first job. I started being around people who were over the age of 21 and could get me alcohol. And I knew that they would not keep supplying me because I was so young and, you know, all that kind of stuff if they knew how much I was drinking. So I would go to a different individual every time and I would try to convince them to buy me alcohol. I would obviously pay them extra, whatever. But I would rotate off people so that no one knew how much I was drinking. I kept a bottle of liquor under my bed. I had a water bottle that I kept with liquor in it in case I ever needed to take some to go. When I was in my early stages of drinking, I really didn't take the alcohol outside of the house. It really stayed in the house. I did a lot of my drinking at home and then would go out pretty intoxicated. At this point in my life, I wasn't drinking and driving. A lot of the drinking happened at night when I was alone and in my bed. And that is very toxic for a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old to be drinking alone at night. Drinking myself to sleep. Not even just like drinking, like blackout drinking every night by myself in my bed. And I thought it was like normal and okay. I struggled a lot with mental health issues growing up. I expressed the need to get help. Didn't quite get the help I needed at probably the times that I needed it, which led me to depend on things like alcohol. And so by the age of 17 and 18, all my friends knew that I was a really heavy drinker, and they all thought that it was just like on the weekends and partying, but it was every night when I got home. And I wouldn't show up to school at this time. I was still in high school. I wouldn't show up to school drunk or anything, but I very much depended on it to go to sleep at night. I couldn't sleep without it. I had really bad insomnia growing up, and so I thought alcohol was the cure to the solution, I guess. I could sleep every time because I would get so blacked out that I would randomly fall asleep in different places, but at least I was sleeping. And so I saw that as a plus. And I would just drink. And then I graduated high school, and my whole dynamic changed in life. I moved in with a roommate, and this is when I started really depending on alcohol. I started drinking all the time. I started numbing the pain away, and there is a lot more behind the scenes that goes on, obviously, than what you see on social media and that you know about people. But I was very, 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 very much struggling with things behind the scenes. Aside from my own mental illness and insomnia that I dealt with growing up and throughout life, I was then experiencing a lot of heartbreak from addictions that were present in my life and people I had to kind of turn my back on or choose to go down different paths than. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of respect from people, but I think I gained the right respect by not being with those people anymore, and I thought that their respect and like their approval meant more than it actually does in the grand scheme of things. And so there were a lot of things that were going on there were a lot of things going on that I wouldn't talk about, and I still won't talk about. Some of it's not my place to talk on, but I also need people to know that different things impact people in different ways, and I really, really, really struggled for a lot of years with self-worth and depression and anxiety because I felt like I wasn't good enough. And so I kind of used alcohol as my scapegoat. And I was using that to numb from everything else I was going through in life. I was dealing with a lot of stuff personally, with families, trying to hold other people together when I should have been focusing on myself. I'm literally getting goosebumps. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but I've got hair standing up thinking about how I would drink away my nights to other people's problems. When I got to college, it was very evident that there was more than just a drinking problem present. I know it took me a long time to see it, but the people in my life were like, this isn't just you getting blackout drunk and going to sleep every night. It was very much emotional. And I never went out and partied, and so I think that was part of when people started to notice that it was really bad, was when I was drinking so much, but I was never out with people. I'd say my sophomore and junior year of college, I started getting very violent with myself. And back in the day, in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I used to self-harm. And I didn't realize self-harm wasn't just taking something to your skin, necessarily. Self-harm for me was drinking every night. I was putting myself in a harmful situation because I thought that's what I deserved. And it's the only way that I felt any kind of comfort or separation from the issues, even though it was separation because I was so blacked out, I had no idea what was going on. I wasn't a violent child. I just was in sports growing up, and so one of the sports I partaked in was Taekwondo. I'm a second-degree black belt national champion, 2 different countries, and I didn't think that this had made a huge impact on me until I started getting violent when I was drinking. And it was never, ever with other people, it was anytime I saw myself in the mirror. I would lose my marbles, basically. I would basically have this out-of-body experience where I would come out of my body and I would just start punching the shit out of the mirror, out of the reflection, because I didn't want to see myself, because I hated myself so much. And like I said, that anger was never built up tension towards anybody else. And I think that's when my friends were really like, we need to take a step back and evaluate what's really going on here, because it wasn't just a drinking problem. At that point, I was physically harming myself. I was doing whatever I could to numb myself while also not realizing I was causing myself so much internal and external pain at this point because of the way I was treating myself. And I struggled and I struggled and I struggled for a really long time because I didn't want to get better and I thought this was the only way. And no one ever forced me to stop. It took me realizing I needed to stop for that change to happen. But I very much needed people to bring me back down to earth. So those very few people who could talk me back down could, and I think it's about finding healthy ways to cope with things. And when I started getting in better environments, when I was surrounding myself with people who loved me, who cared about me, who only had my best interest in heart, who only wanted to see me succeed, that's when I started seeing growth and self-love within myself. So I moved out from wherever I was living at the time there, started my junior/senior year of high school of college living on my own. Absolutely best decision I ever made. This is when I really started to find myself. I started working out again. I stopped doing things that were toxic to myself, and I still drank, and I didn't realize that, it was as bad as it was. And then I stopped a year ago to the day. So maybe 6 months prior to that, I had still been drinking pretty heavily behind everyone's back. I had a water bottle that I used to carry around full of vodka. And I remember so specifically one time we were in Florida and my boyfriend picked up a water bottle to take a swig out of it after we had just come back from the hospital because I had just had a panic attack. And he went to go take a swig, and he took an entire swig of vodka instead of water. Because I always had to have a water bottle full of vodka around me. And I think that was one of those times when I was like, oh shit. This is bad. This is really, really bad. And so I kind of took that as a step back. And then once I started realizing it was more than just the drinking, I finally went and got some help. So I went and saw a psychiatrist. I started getting on some meds. I started getting some help. But I thought that because I was getting help and I was on meds, I could drink and I could still act like a normal person and do normal things. And that is just not the case at all. I remember going to a bachelorette party and maybe having 2 or 3 shots, and then I don't remember the rest of the night. And that's the most blacked out I've ever been. And I don't remember anything. And there are beyond 25, 50 times that I can count that I was so blacked out the next morning, I genuinely have no idea what I was doing. A little over a year ago, I decided that we were going to go out and get drinks and hang out with our friends. And, I thought I was being tough and macho and doing the right thing by, drinking and, drinking but not drinking too much. And I drove us home that night and I shouldn't have. There have been plenty of times when it's been kind of teeter-tottering, yes or no. I probably shouldn't have I should not have gotten behind the wheel of the car that night. And I think about that so much. Because what if something would have happened? What if I would have hit somebody? And I did that. That was my choice. I've always been somebody who's very much been don't drink and drive, and the moment that I realized I was getting to the point of not caring to that extent, I realized how bad it was getting. And you can't stop unless you want to stop yourself. And it took everything in me to decide that I wasn't going to keep going and dig myself deeper. But I knew either I was going to end up in dead or in jail. You know? There's only really two ways out of that situation if you don't recover. And I have an amazing boyfriend and animals and best friends and a job. And I couldn't possibly imagine not having those things in my life. And so I chose to change. And that was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my entire life. Becoming an alcoholic is the easy part. Recovering is what's hard. Being an addict is easy. Being a recovering addict, being an active member of society while trying to combat an active addiction every single day that's present and prevalent in everything you do, that's what's hard. That's hard work. But I chose the hard work. I don't want to die. I'm not ready. I have a legacy. I know I have a legacy to leave, and I couldn't let myself give up when I had gotten so far. I struggled so long with mental health. I wasn't about to let alcohol bring me down. So the day after my 22nd birthday, September 6th, 2021, I took a vow to stop drinking. And not publicly. Not for my brother, my mom, my best friend, my neighbor, nothing. Because I chose that's the life I wanted. Let me tell you, this has been the hardest year of my life. I have struggled with a lot mentally throughout the years. But when your addiction is in front of you every day, and it's not like cocaine or meth or Xanax where people are not advertising it. It's not. Alcohol is so common. Alcohol is in everybody's life, and I don't ever want to take away from somebody else, and so I never make people stop drinking because of me. This year has been so hard. And I have personally picked myself up off the ground so many times. But I think it means getting to this 1 year spot. I know I can make it 10 years. Like, I see myself being sober now. Because I was able to overcome so much in the first year of recovery. Like I said, 9/6/2021, made a vow to myself. October 13 of 2021, we went to Vegas for the weekend for a J. Cole concert. And honestly, it was one of the best weekends of my entire life. And I just know if I would have been drinking, I wouldn't remember any of it. And trust me, in the moment, it was so hard to not buy drinks and to not. But when you have people around you who support you and love you and care about you and want to see you live to be another year older, it's not hard to choose the sober option. And so I went to Vegas. We had the best time. I drank so much Red Bull. But I really just learned that my friends didn't care if I drink or not. They didn't. And I think so much of my self-worth came from feeling numb with alcohol, that I felt like my friends wouldn't accept me if I didn't drink, and knowing that they just don't give a shit. They just want me to be happy. They just want me to be healthy. They just want me to be there. That's what helped me. And obviously, you know, we all go through our own trials and hard times, and it's really hard when, you know, it's not hard when people are holding you accountable, right? But when no one's looking, when it's the middle of the night and there's a liquor bottle in the freezer, you know, or you're at an event and you could run into a bathroom and take a swig of something. That is when my true colors came out, and I realized I wasn't doing this for anybody else. I was doing it for me, and I was putting the hard work in for me. Just a couple weeks ago, I helped with an event at my work, and this whole event is surrounded with alcohol. And it is so hard. It's not hard when everybody's watching, when everybody's looking, but when everybody's running around doing things, and everybody, and I mean everybody, has a drink in their hand. And everybody's asking if you want to drink. It's hard to say no. It's hard to not step into a bathroom and take a swig from a bottle, but I can sit here wholeheartedly and say that I chose not to do those things, and I am better because of it. I didn't ever think I would be sitting here talking to anybody about how I had to stop drinking alcohol. My grandparents drank it growing up. I thought it was normal. Grew up in a country where it was normalized at a very young age. I am not going to be the best functioning human in society if I am drinking. And it pisses me off. It pisses me off seeing people who can have one drink and go to bed and not have the craving for more, but that's not me. And growth is knowing that. Growth is accepting that. Growth is being willing to change when you don't want to. I spent so many nights crying, confused, scared, lost. But I would rather that than be so blacked out that I don't remember anything the next day. I stopped choosing poison and I started living. Not everybody is gonna have the same relationship I do with alcohol. My best friends still drink. They drink around me. They are the first to step in front of me when someone offers me a drink. They are the first to pour me a water shot when it's time to take shots. I will be included, and I will be around it. Have never been, they've never made me feel stupid, weird, or forced to drink, or just dumb for stopping. No one ever questioned it, and I think that's when I knew how bad it was when I said, guys, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. They said, okay. I think those things really made me realize how far I'd gotten and where I was with everything. This past year has been nothing short of a challenge. I've seen so much personal growth within myself the last year. I couldn't be more proud of the woman I am coming into year 2. I have probably already overlaid some pictures and videos so you guys can kind of see what I've been talking about, but I may just insert some clips here of some times when I was just obliterated and all that so you guys can kind of get the gist. And then I'm gonna put some pictures from the last year where I have thrived. I have gotten a job doing something I love every day. I've been taking pictures. I remember everything. I don't hate my life the minute I wake up in the morning. I'm not puking my guts out all day and all night because I'm so hungover. I feel alive for the first time in a really long time. I had to stop drinking in order to find myself. That little girl inside of me was screaming to get out, and she couldn't because I kept forcing her back down and back down and back down with alcohol. When she finally got the chance to come out, it hurt, but I've healed. And I feel so much better in life with the people I'm surrounded by. Alcohol addiction is scary, and it happens fast. But there is recovery, and there is hope. So if you or anyone you know is struggling, please reach out. Please go to an AA meeting. Please reach out to a friend. Please just do something. It's not worth losing your life over. Here's some statistics for you guys. Adults who had taken their first drink of alcohol before the age of 15 were 6.5 times more likely to experience an alcohol use disorder than those who didn't start drinking before the age of 21. 1 in 13 8th graders report consuming alcohol in the past month. 13% of 10th graders report consuming alcohol in the last 30 days. Did you know that alcoholism is very prevalent? I mean, obviously we know that people drink all the time, but more than 3 million US cases per year come around of alcoholism, and it's pretty common in teenagers ages 14 to 18. It's very common in ages 19 to 60. 85% of people ages 18 and older report that they have drank at some point in their life. About 6% of American adults have an alcohol use disorder. Only about 7% of those ever get treatment. And just for a worldwide, so I am in the US. Obviously, as you can tell, most of my statistics have been from the US, but I am actually from a different country where alcohol is a lot more prevalent and a lot more prevalent at a younger age. And so I do just want to throw out some worldwide statistics, but about 2.5 million people die worldwide each year from alcohol-related injuries or causes. So that could be anything from drinking and driving, binge drinking, along with some statistics. I do want to provide you guys with some resources. Over the last year or so, I've spent a lot of time, energy, and effort pouring into my new love and passion project, Smiley Face Foundation. We are an online figurehead who is dedicated to alcohol and drug recovery and mental health, addiction, and resources. And so we offer a multitude of resources online through our Instagram, Facebook, and website. We redirect people to places where they're able to get help for their addictions with mental health. On our website, you can find links to things like local AA meetings around you, therapists online and in person close to you, and where and who to call when you have helpline issues. We do try our best to update those. So as many of you know, the 1-800 number is now no longer in use, and 988 is the mental health number. So if you or anybody you know is going through a mental health crisis or potential suicide, please call 988. That is the mental health helpline number in the United States. Smiley Face Foundation is about making sure we are getting resources to people who need them. Maybe people don't even realize that they need them at the time. My target audience really is children ages 14 to young adults ages 30. So we typically cater to that age range. My goal is to get in a couple of schools this year to talk about mental health and addiction and how it can impact your entire life. And so just a little plug right here for that. The website will be down below. Like I said, our website and community online is about recovery and about mental health, illness, and getting better. And so we want a network of people who are actively seeking to get better. And so if you would like to join our crew, our Instagram's down below. You can join us out over there. If you need any resources, check out our website. That will also be down below. Like I said, we'll be continuously updating that as new and improved resources come out. But if you think somebody in your life may be going through a rough time or starting to get addicted to alcohol, here are a few early warning signs that you can look out for. Regular heavy drinking, drinking until blacking out, binge drinking, developing alcohol poisoning, dropping responsibilities in order to drink, which could also look like them just flaking on you a lot. Sometimes I wouldn't mention to my friends that I was drinking at home. I would just say I wasn't going out. Rationing why they are drinking, that they are stressed, had a long day. I did that a lot. Drinking alcohol alone or sneaking drinks. This is something you have to be very on the ball for. Bringing alcohol to places that don't serve it or aren't appropriate to drink in. So like I said, that carrying around a water bottle with vodka in it all the time to make sure I had my comfort with me. Bringing their own alcohol so they can drink more for less money, or adding own alcohol to purchase drinks. Again, bringing your own alcohol places meant that you could drink more because it was less expensive. Changing routine or associates to those who often drink to normalize or minimize their drinking. So I did this a lot when I first started drinking. Like I mentioned, back when I was in high school, I would surround myself with people who were old enough to drink. Therefore, it normalized my drinking so much. or at least that's how I rationalized it in my head. And the last one is excessive drinking during the daytime during school or work. There are a lot of other things you can look out for, but those are just 10 things I would say keep an eye out for. Some of those can be really hard to spot. Some of them can be really easy to spot. And don't go into anything accusing anybody. Like I said at the very beginning of this video, if you don't want to change, you won't. And so going and accusing somebody is only going to make things worse. I do just want to point out that everybody's journey is different, and that just because I struggle with alcohol in one way doesn't mean you don't struggle, and doesn't mean you can't struggle in different ways. Like I said, there are tons of resources in this description down below. If you need to go to an Alcohol Anonymous meeting or a drug meeting, there will be resources for that below. If you just want some online therapy or help, there'll be resources for that below. If you want a community of support while you're going through times of recovery and mental health support, our Instagram for Smiley Face Foundation will also be below. Remember that you are not alone, and you are not facing this journey by yourself. And I know that sometimes it can seem really, really hard and really, really, really lonely, but just find some people who can help you. Maybe they're online, maybe they're in person, but some people who can relate to you, some people you can talk to, and some people that are going to be there for you through those hard times. I was very fortunate enough to have friends who already wanted and loved and support me in that way. And so I was able to keep the same kind of friend group around me, but you may have to change your community of people and your style of living if you are in that situation. I did, but I kind of did that before I went into my full recovery phase. So everybody's journey looks different, and I just wanted to get on here and share mine because not a lot of people are talking about getting sober or being a recovering addict so young. Or period with alcohol, because alcohol is just such a well-known substance, and it's everywhere. It's in our everyday lives. People drink it daily. It's something that is advertised on billboards. It's in your face. And so it's a lot harder to quit sometimes than things that aren't as accessible. So like I said, if you need any help, any resources, there are links down below. If you need to talk to somebody about somebody in your life, please, please, please talk to them before it is too late. I know that I had multiple of my friends go to significant people in my life. It's not always my parents, but significant people in my life, and say, hey, I think Robin's really struggling. You need those people in your life, okay? It's important to have people who can hold you accountable when you can't hold yourself accountable. There are going to be a lot of times when you have to hold yourself accountable, and you're the only one who can hold yourself accountable. And trust me, I've witnessed that a lot through this last year of having to not sneak into bathrooms to drink and things like that. It's just about finding your own path and making sure you're doing what's right for you. With all that being said, I am so glad you guys tuned into this video, stayed this far along. I know this was a long one and it was really rambly, but it is just so important that we talk about mental health and addiction and recovery, and especially at such a young age. And so I just really wanted to get my story out here. I cannot believe I'm a whole year sober from alcohol, you guys. That is insane. I literally can't believe it. It wouldn't be possible without the support of my friends, who are just through and through the best people in my entire life, and the Smiley Face Foundation, which has kept me true to my word for this last year. And a huge shout out to myself for holding myself accountable and really just trying to become a better version of me. And with all that being said, I just want to say I love you guys. Thank you so much. If you need any help, call 988, text it. Resources are below. I love you. We love you. The world is your oyster. If I can get through it, you can get through it. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. Reach out to me on Instagram. I love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to you later. Stay safe, my little babies.